Hey everybody, this is Julius of the Goat Movie Podcast. I'm here to reintroduce a series of videos, a weekly series of videos that were on our old channel. These are the What If discussions, where we discuss different points in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and drastically change them, seeing how the universe as a whole would be affected. These videos started back in 2019 in anticipation for the What If series now on Disney+. I'm joined by a variety of different guests where we talk about these different instances and scenarios. We're going to release them weekly like we did beforehand, and we hope you enjoy them. Obviously, a lot of these discussions became episodes, so it's going to be fun to compare and contrast then to what we have now. Enjoy the content, the conversation. Have a good one, stay safe, and goodbye. What's happening, everybody? My name is Julius.
And I'm Angel.
It's true. You are Angel. I didn't have to ask that, but you know what I have to ask?
What?
What if Marvel Studios, from the very get-go, had the rights to all their characters? They never went bankrupt. They never had to sell anything to survive. They just started. What do you think would happen? By the way, just to lay the groundwork, this is in sorts an episode 0 of a series that's about to start, where we talk about what if the MCU, whatever. Friday, we're going to have our first one. Today, this is the prequel of sorts, because this is the beginning, honestly. Yeah. We're talking about a completely different universe where everything was much better than it is now. So, what do you think would happen? And I don't want you to say some shit like, oh, Trump never would have gotten elected. What if this happened, Angel?
If Marvel Studios,
yes,
with Kevin Feige, if they had all of their characters, clearly I feel like we would have gotten a vastly different set of MCU movies. For better or for worse, we're not really sure. But I know for a fact it would have been completely different than what we got now.
I think we would have been at the 20-year, thing of Marvel.
We probably would have been at Secret Wars by now.
We past Secret Wars at this point.
Yeah, we probably would have been at a reboot or something.
Yeah.
You never know. But I feel like if they had control of all of their characters, I think we definitely wouldn't have seen them start off with Iron Man. I definitely feel like maybe they wouldn't have taken more risks, like with Guardians of the Galaxy or Doctor Strange. I don't think we would have seen those films for a very long time. I think they would have started off with maybe Spider-Man, maybe the X-Men. They're heavy hitters.
I would say maybe probably the most likely could be the Fantastic Four.
Yeah. That would have been the dream. I think if they had all their characters, I think they would have started off with the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And that's definitely for me the most positive thing about this what if scenario, because I feel like the Fantastic Four, where have they been really? For decades.
The dumpster.
For decades.
They've been in Josh Trank's ass, all right?
And the Fantastic Four are known for really giving Marvel as a brand their start.
Yeah, really redefining what Marvel is.
Redefining comics, literature.
It's true.
You know what I mean? And
they started as like a response to the Justice League.
Yeah.
So they were just like, look, we need to get up on this team right now.
Yeah. And what a great team they are. And I felt like that would have been such a great starting point for this version of the MCU if they started off. They could have started off with Fantastic Four, brought in Spider-Man, brought in the X-Men, and then slowly start introducing the Avengers. And the Avengers could have been considered like the Guardians of the Galaxy of this set of MCU movies, because before the Avengers, before how they were established here in this MCU movie, they were considered like B-list characters, like with Iron Man.
Iron Man was
Hulk would be arguable.
Hulk is arguable, but Iron Man was not known when the first film came out.
No, not at all.
Not even before. His comics weren't doing that well. The shows, he had a cartoon show that not a lot of people watched.
Yeah.
We're talking about a fresh start that really is different, that changes the whole landscape, I think, of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Because if we're talking about like early 2000s, right? Or late 90s, like 99 or something, like we're talking about a completely different, first of all, audience. We're talking about a very different culture, consumer-based culture. Because around that time, films like Titanic came out. Episode 1 came out, Would they even want to try to start off that big? They'd probably start off pretty small. Films like Spider-Man might not come out or they would, but they'd be very different with Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, totally.
X-Men would have been so different.
Yeah. I mean, just the idea of Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man, starting off as Spider-Man, and then it could have led to like a multiverse storyline. We could have gotten Andrew Garfield still. We could have gotten Tom Holland as Spider-Man still. So that would have been a really cool starting point as well, with Tobey Maguire meeting up with an RDJ of the future or something. Right. And I feel like they would have kept the same cast and everything, because Kevin Feige would still be associated with being the mastermind of this whole universe. And I feel like with his experience, he still would have approached these movies the same ways. Let's make a great movie first with Fantastic Four, and let's see where it leads. Yeah. Nick Fury could have showed up at the end of Fantastic Four. Yeah. And it would have established this rich universe that we had. It's just we would have had an addition of more characters. But why I like thinking about this what if scenario, the reason why I like thinking about it is because it makes me thankful for what we also got. I love that we started off with Iron Man. I love that we got to see risks with Black Panther, with Doctor Strange, with Guardians, Captain Marvel.
Well, I mean, the Avengers is probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
That's the biggest risk they take.
And they're all billion-dollar properties. Yeah. And now we have a rich universe that's established. And look how excited we're going to be when we do get that Fantastic Four showing up, when we do get X-Men showing up. Shit. It's almost like we did get the best case scenario, because since the multiverse is introduced, now we can get a whole separate other MCU that's rebooted, started from fresh, with the Fantastic Four starting off that point. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
So I understand.
It's really cool.
I think that it is like this fantasy we're talking about is the equivalent of the fan art that would come out early back in 2008, where Iron Man was next to Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and next to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, because people didn't understand what was happening. They didn't understand that this was the MCU. They weren't even calling it that back in the day. It was just the Marvel movies that would connect to an Avengers film. Mm-hmm. They didn't see that, it would be too late at a certain point to bring in Wolverine or Tobey's Spider-Man, that they would have to be rebooted. It's like that, basically. And I grew up looking at a lot of that fan art, that it was the dream. You know? And to think of it in that context, it just brings you back to childhood, honestly. Yeah. It really would change comic book movies, I think. I wonder how if they had all their rights in the beginning, right? And they started in the early 2000s of a shared universe, right? Mm-hmm. I wonder how that would affect the competition, Would DC be different completely? I think they would. I don't think we'd get the Dark Knight trilogy, honestly.
Probably not, yeah. We probably wouldn't have.
Because, what would be selling, if the MCU back then worked, what would be selling are accurate depictions of characters, costumes, color, enjoyable stuff. It wouldn't be as dark, I think. We probably wouldn't. I mean, it's a sad thing to think that we might not get Nolan's Batman, because those are still some of the best comic book films ever.
Definitely. Or maybe we could have, because, I mean, now what DC's trying to do is they're trying to catch up. They're kind of fixing their tones to match their characters and stuff, finally. But they're also doing these rated R movies like with Joker and stuff. So they are still doing dark stuff that's separate from their cinematic universe. But who knows? All I know is maybe they probably would have started their cinematic universe a lot earlier, and hopefully with the plan.
It's same people who would be employed. I don't know. I wonder. How do you think this would affect children?
Children?
Yeah,
like if all their characters were seen?
Well, like a whole generation, right? Because I was actually talking to someone yesterday about Spider-Man, and we were comparing. Our generation grew up with Tobey Maguire. And now he's very much compared to people like Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield. If we grew up in an age where Tobey Maguire was still Spider-Man, but he grew up with other Avengers, right? I mean, we might not get an Andrew Garfield, a reboot, or two reboots at that point. How do you think that would affect the culture?
I don't think we would have gotten a reboot, and I think the reboot of Spider-Man has actually affected culture negatively, because people get confused, and also people tarnish other versions of Spider-Man, so it kind of creates this like negative toxic fandom in which everyone's always fighting all the time and stuff. So I think it's actually negatively hurt everybody, and people don't really know what's going on. It's like, wait, who's this new Spider-Man and stuff? But with this route, if they would have had Tobey Maguire stick around and he would have met up with the Avengers, I think it would have been a really clever way to set up the multiverse, and I felt like people would have been more accepting of different Spider-Men than they are now, because I'm in a Spider-Man fan group and people always fight about Tobey or Holland or
what are you talking
Andrew
about?
Garfield, and
I mean but
with Spider-Verse, they're very loving.
That's the weirdest
Miles,
thing to
that Peter,
argue.
Spider-Gwen.
That's the weirdest thing to argue about for me, because we're talking about different Spider-Men in very different contexts, in very different times. There are reasons why these Spider-Men were made the way they were, so I don't get why. It's like, well, Toby's better than Tom. It's like, well, it's a completely different take on the character. You're talking about like Laurence Olivier versus Marlon Brando. They're completely different actors right now. So I don't know why you'd argue which is better. That's like saying, shit. I don't know. It's like arguing about who's the better Godfather, Marlon Brando or Robert De Niro. It's like they're different. They're different versions of the same character.
Yeah.
Why would you argue about that?
Yeah. And I also think if they did have all their characters, a fear of mine would have been that like all the characters that are prominent now would have still, been in the backseat. Like Captain America wouldn't have been as prominent as he is now. One of my favorite superheroes.
You don't think so?
Ever. I don't know. I don't think so, because I think maybe they would have been like, we got Fantastic Four. We got, X-Men. We got Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
we got our main ones, and I feel like back then the studio wouldn't have believed in a cinematic universe. That wasn't proven yet. It wasn't until Kevin Feige showed the world, hey, we got Avengers, we can make billion-dollar films if we connect all these, where the studio was like, take full control.
But we're talking about a studio that started earlier, just with the same mindset, right?
I believe so, yeah, with the same mindset, but also the studio is in control. And I feel like they wouldn't have been like, okay, Kevin, you can start off with Iron Man.
Right.
Like, they wouldn't have started off with Iron Man if they had all their characters in the first place.
Right.
And that's what I mean.
Okay.
And that's why I feel like Iron Man and Captain America, they would have been still on the back burner.
Kind of secondary.
Yeah, until they bring in the Avengers and stuff.
Maybe. I mean, I understand where you're coming from when it comes to who's more popular, especially during that time, right? But if it's being handled with the same type of care and knowledge, like, because we're not talking about like DC or Fox right now, we're talking about Marvel and Kevin Feige specifically. I think it would have been pretty balanced, because Cap, in the comic books, in the cartoons and everything, he's the guy, he's the leader. He's the one who's like, look, I need to take charge because no one else knows how to in the way that I can. So I think that still would have transitioned. It just would have been very different, Yeah. He would have been secondary in that he was introduced later, I think.
Do you think we would have gotten Marvel television?
Oh, that's a good question, huh? I don't know. I feel like it would have been, if we had, it would have been very different. We probably could have still gotten a S.H.I.E.L.D. show, but we probably wouldn't have gotten the Netflix stuff in the way we got it.
Yeah.
We probably would have gotten movies for some of those characters, like a Daredevil film, whether it be Ben Affleck or not. Like a Heroes for Hire movie could be introduced later.
Yeah.
A Punisher, I don't even know what would happen with that. So I don't think we would have gotten as much Marvel television.
That's what I really like about how
it played out.
How it played out for us, because Marvel was kind of put in a position where they were forced to use what they have in the way that they could. Yeah. And Daredevil is the best example of that. They put him on a show, and it's one of the greatest shows ever created. Right.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't really have much else to do with that dude, so they weren't giving him another film.
Yeah. But look at how they developed him there.
No, yeah.
If they brought him to the big screen,
now
we have all of that
after the fact. Though, like that's the thing. I would be down for jumping into multiverse, equipment and then going to see this world, because in the multiverse it must have happened. Yeah, and it would have been crazy to look at. Just because it affects a lot more than just Marvel. This thing, how would other studios that didn't have the characters that they have in our reality, like Fox, X-Men kept them around for a long time, you know?
Yeah.
Sony, look at what they did with Spider-Man. You know, how would that affect them as studios, as businesses? Yeah. You know, that's a really weird thing. How do you think that would have happened?
We probably wouldn't have gotten the Spider-Man PS4 game. You know what I mean? Because it's owned by Sony. And I've finally been playing the story mode on that game. And it's freaking incredible.
It's the best Spider-Man movie ever, dude.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Here's another. Actually, I think this is probably the biggest question and concept. Would Marvel, because we're talking about Marvel, you know, as a success, it probably would have gone really big. Would they have been bought by Disney?
Probably not. No.
Yeah, huh?
No. If they had all their characters, because they went bankrupt.
Yeah, they went bankrupt.
And they had to be bought.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, no. If they had all their characters, they would have produced enough money to sustain themselves.
That's crazy.
For sure.
So we probably would have gotten more experimental films, you know? Bless you.
Excuse me, thank you.
I mean, we probably could have gotten a Man-Thing film, you know?
Yeah.
They a rated R Punisher film,
Absolutely,
you know?
yeah.
Why not? You know, they're not owned by anyone. They're doing their own thing.
Exactly. You're right, because since they're owned by Disney, Disney controls the ratings of their films, you know?
They can't do a Man-Thing film.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a reason why Daredevil was on Netflix, is so that they could do the things that they wanted to do for that take on the character and the story. And it worked out for them.
Yeah.
And that's great, but if they were their own studio, I think we would be seeing a lot more Daredevils, you know? I feel like we would have gotten a Blade, another rated R Blade film.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's crazy to think about, you know? But definitely would have seen more connection between characters we wanted to see connection with for a long time. Like Daredevil and Spider-Man, team up film.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, dude, yes.
That would definitely would have happened. Ben Affleck and Tobey Maguire.
But yeah, man, I would have loved to have lived in a universe where we did have all the characters to start off with, but
I'm very happy we're here.
I'm extremely happy we're here. It makes me grateful. Because since these characters were distributed through different studios, we did get some excellent, I feel like, for the most part, performances from actors in terms of filling in the roles of the Marvel characters we love, like Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and like something like Logan or Days of Future Past.
Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's iconic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you know, it makes me grateful for what we have.
Absolutely. And, you know, the fact that there was this distance, right, between the X-Men and Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, even between the, you know, and the MCU.
Yeah.
It helped with the longing.
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that we're getting it, like, that's the most excited thing happening right now.
Yeah.
People, the X-Men and the MCU, Fantastic Four in the MCU.
Yeah.
You know, it was insane that Spider-Man was announced back in the, you know, a couple years back that he was coming into Captain America. You know, it was really insane.
And also all those movies, every single Marvel movie that you could think of,
right?
Every single one that's been made,
sure,
it's part of the multiverse. It could be part of the multiverse.
I mean, now it can't be,
because if they wanted to bring Hugh Jackman in, if they wanted to, it could happen. You know,
it won't happen, but it could happen. His grave can come back. That's what I'm saying. I love that. I made a post recently on Twitter about Keanu as Wolverine.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And I said, if you don't want him, you're wrong.
Because you didn't see John Wick 3.
Yeah, because you didn't see John Wick 3. That's the math right there. And then the comments were like, no, Hugh Jackman, bring him back. It's like, he's dead. He's dead. I'm sorry. What do you want? You want them to resurrect this old bag of bones? Like, bag of metal bones? Like, no, he's dead. Okay? That's what I'm saying. That's why what you just said was beautiful. Okay? We had a legacy. We had a whole storyline between Wolverine and the X-Men from Fox. That's over. Let's move on. You know they're going to recast Wolverine, whether it be Keanu or whoever the hell it'll be, because that's a new face. That's new profitability right there.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think about. Like, I feel like we're more excited about the Fantastic Four being introduced into the MCU. We're more excited about that than we would have been excited for
another film
when they would have started in the first place. Like, here's a Fantastic Four movie. We're starting off with this.
Oh, in the MCU.
I feel like the anticipation now.
Yeah.
Since we've gotten these 23 films, now...
Well, it's because it's been fucked so badly over the years, dude.
Now it's greater than ever. Because now we're getting this version of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
They're coming in late, but
hey,
late's better than never.
Yeah, exactly. They're coming in with style, all right? I think that Fantastic Four should be like the first forward film
Yeah.
of Phase 4. Because Black Widow, that'll probably be the first Phase 4 film, but it's a prequel.
Yeah.
So bring Fantastic Four into, like, bring in this new golden age, because it's
Yeah.
going to be set in the modern day.
Yeah. Also, I think Sam Raimi would be a cool choice for Fantastic Four, directing that.
That'd be cool.
I forgot who we mentioned on our previous podcast.
A lot of people.
Yeah, we mentioned a lot of people. But I thought about it a lot, and I feel like I would love to see Sam Raimi do another superhero film. And I think it'd be really cool to see his take on Fantastic Four.
That'd be amazing. All I'm thinking
Especially
about...
with the practical effects in Johnny Storm.
Yeah.
I want him to really light somebody on fire.
Well, all I'm thinking about now is, what's his name? An iconic... I think it was the first Amazing Spider-Man cover where he was trapped by the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's in the holding cube or not cube, cylinder or whatever the hell. And just to think that Sam would be so close to Spider-Man again. Oh my God, that would kill me. I mean, we're not getting a Spider-Man 4 comic from this dude anymore, or at all, or whatever the hell. So
I hope they do it.
Better
or an animated movie.
That's such blue balls right there, dude.
An animated movie. Get Sam Raimi to work again or something. Yeah, he's not doing anything else.
Yeah, what is he doing?
He's producing.
Ash versus Evil Dead isn't happening anymore, so do it. Bring Bruce Campbell in.
Yeah, he's such a great filmmaker.
They better show his ass in Far From Home in the multiverse.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruce Campbell as a Spider-Man.
That would be sick.
That'd be great. Spider-Man swinging around with a chainsaw for a hand.
Yeah, or make him Uncle Ben.
Hey, why not? That's perfect. See, that's what I'm saying. Bring Bruce Campbell in as some Spider-Man character to, homage the Sam Raimi trilogy.
Make him Uncle Ben.
Or J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, or
that would be great. Oh, I would love that, dude. I've been wanting that for a long time.
Yeah.
He's like, Parker, where the hell are you?
Yeah. Or Otto. I could see him as Otto.
Anyone. Aunt May. Okay. All right. Let's end it. I'm Julius.
And I'm Angel.
What did you think about the video? Are you excited for the What If series? Everybody, it's been 3 years of the GOAT podcast, which means we need 3,000 subscribers, like now. Woo! Right now. And then we can get to 30,000, and then 30 million, 30 billion, 30 trillion, and who knows? What if we could get there? Goodbye, everybody. Have a nice one. Thank you. The GOAT podcast is proof you don't have to look any further for movie news, reviews, trailer reactions, or special discussions. Subscribe, get notified about what's going on, and I promise you'll be entertained by our daily content on YouTube. If you want more, we're on Twitter at GOAT Film Podcast, Instagram The GOAT Podcast, and the GOAT Movie Group on Facebook. Get connected with us, see what's happening, and make sure to love it while you're doing so.